Sorry, we're closed.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. Episode 60 of Sorry We're Closed. I am your host, Mr. Patrick James Light. And guys, this is the Super Bowl edition. I'm recording this before the game. The game is between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I assumed it to be the Patriots because they seem like they're always in it, and Tom Brady's playing. So it's like the old versus the new, right? You have Tom Brady, who's been quite possibly the best quarterback to have ever played the game of football, playing at 43 years old for his 7th ring, and then you have Patrick Mahomes, who is the guy who, seemingly he's taking over the league. He owns part of the Kansas City Royals now. The guy's doing everything. Quick prediction. And this is what I talked about last night at my bar. A lot of people were talking. Obviously, everyone's talking about the Super Bowl right now. It's the biggest game on television, and most people were trying to obviously painting the picture that Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, have a much better team, a much better. I think Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady. All these things, and the one thing I always go back to, and this is what I talked about when the classic debate in New England was always. Would you rather Bill Belichick or Tom Brady? And you just never bet against Tom Brady. That guy has done so much in the game of football. That guy has come from seemingly a nobody from the University of Michigan to, again, quite possibly the best football player that has ever walked this earth. And the guy just figures it out. Now, granted, listen, he's got a great team around, very talented team. It's not like he took the New York Giants this year to the Super Bowl, but he's still Tom Brady at 43 years old, being able to do things with people that you just don't expect him to be able to do at this age. Every year people talk about how this has got to be the last year, that he can't do it anymore, all of this stuff. And he comes out on a yearly basis and does it. I saw a stat the other day. He's been playing for, I think it's 20 years. The first year he wasn't a starter. Ever since then he has been, and he's been in the Super Bowl 10 times. 10 times out of 19 years of starting as the starting quarterback, he has been in the Super Bowl. It's an unbelievable stat. We may never see that again. It is outrageous what that guy does. It's comparable to the Mariano Rivera and what he was able to do in baseball, where more people walked on the moon than had ever scored a run off him in the playoffs. It's insane what the guy's doing. We're watching an absolute legend. And this is a guy that our kids and will ask us about and talk to us about, because they want to know what Tom Brady was like. Tom Brady has surpassed, obviously, the Peyton. I remember there used to be a Peyton Manning, Tom Brady debate. It's unfortunately, I love Peyton Manning. He's not even in the conversation anymore with Tom Brady. This guy has defied, the odds of age. This guy has defied the odds of having people around him in New England. He a lot of times he's making people that were nobodies somebody. And I think, who knows what goes on in New England, what will eventually go on with Bill Belichick and moving on. But it's tough to look at this year and not think anyone that said they'd rather Bill Belichick than Tom Brady, seemingly they're wrong. I think, again, it's too early to really give a good indicator on that, but it's tough to say with this guy being in the Super Bowl and the New England Patriots not even being in the playoffs. But again, we'll see. I think Tom Brady wins this game. I think the Buccaneers take it. Again, I'd never bet against that man. That guy is just too good at what he does. I think Patrick Mahomes is extremely talented. I think the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid, they're a phenomenal organization, and I think they're going to do very well. It's just he just finds a way to win. He just finds a way. Always finds a way. It's unbelievable. But that's enough about the Super Bowl. The real thing I wanted to discuss about today is Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer going and signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think it's $40 million in the first year. 40, it's some crazy numbers. Now I'm very happy. I don't know Trevor in any capacity, but I'm always happy when I see guys get their money and get paid, especially in what I'm sure was a very difficult free agent year for Trevor and everyone else a part of free agency. There's still seemingly guys that should have been signed a long time ago. We're 2 weeks from spring training, still don't have contracts. It's insanity. However, I can't get on board with Trevor Bauer being worth this much money. I think he's had a career. I saw a stat the other day talking about, obviously Mets fans wanted Trevor Bauer. Some Mets fans didn't want to pay for what Trevor was doing and what he was asking for, obviously $40 million plus a year. And I have to agree. They talked about their starting rotation currently in Queens, and every single one of them has a better career ERA than Trevor Bauer. And I think that it goes overlooked a lot. Obviously, going into your free agent year, having a Cy Young award, that's all huge. But if you look at his body of work, and this is what they always talk about in baseball, they don't talk about hiccups. They don't talk about, one particular year or this or that. They always talk about the body of work. Over your career, you will be the guy you are. And you might, for 2 months, be great. You might be even for a year, you might be great. But when you talk about Trevor Bauer's body of work, it just hasn't been spectacular. It surely does not warrant a $40 million a year contract. However, he also didn't get the years he was probably looking for. Cy Young, you want to make that huge deal and be done for the rest of your career. He only got a 3-year deal out of Los Angeles, but it was still a sweetheart deal. He's going to make $120 million, something like that. And I just don't think what he's done in his career has warranted that. I think he's going to make the Los Angeles Dodgers better. I think he's a phenomenal pitcher. But to go in and do what he's been doing over the course of his career, it hasn't. To me, he's not a Cy Young Award winning pitcher. He might prove me wrong. In the next couple of years, he might all of a sudden start kicking into gear, and this was just the first year of some amazing years he's going to throw out there. But as it stands right now, he has been a good pitcher. He has not been a Cy Young Award winner. He hasn't been the Max Scherzer who's constantly putting up numbers, the Garrett Coles, the Justin Verlanders. He hasn't been that guy. And he got a contract that states that he's that guy. And God bless him. I'm happy for the guy. Again, you go get your money and do what you need to do in order to start your career the back end of his career, and get the money that he feels like he's deserving of. But, I was adamant from the beginning that the Boston Red Sox shouldn't pursue Trevor. I think he was going to command a price, rightfully so. I was right on that. He commanded a price that I think is not there. I can't get on board with paying him more than a Chris Sale, paying him more than a Garrett Cole. Paying him more than anyone in the game of baseball on a per year basis. I can't get on board with that, and I think it's overpaying. Again, I could be wrong. I could end up being a misjudge, and I could see he could go out and be amazing for the Los Angeles Dodgers next year, and henceforth and just go with it. But it just doesn't feel as though Trevor has put up the numbers to warrant that kind of contract. And I think if I was a Mets fan, I am obviously a Red Sox fan, I think I was happy to see him go somewhere else, because I didn't want to have so much money tied up in a guy who had a really great year last year, but that's really it as far as warranting ace-type stuff, Cy Young-type stuff. He's getting paid more per year than Mike Trout. And listen, Mike Trout might go down as the best player ever in our game, and I can't imagine Trevor Bauer being even in that conversation, let alone, be worth even close to what Mike Trout's worth. So I think, personally, every team that passed on Trevor or was not willing to put up the numbers that the Los Angeles Dodgers were willing to put up, I think they got to win here. I think that I think the Dodgers will probably make on the contract. I think they'll be fine, and maybe the Dodgers only valued him at $30 million or $29 million, but they have, maybe a bidding war happened with Steve Cohen and the Mets. Maybe I heard the Angels were interested. Maybe the bidding war started going, and then the number got out of hand. But it just feels as though, and again, I said it from the beginning, this guy's just won a Cy Young. He's going to come after huge money and want to be paid for what he did last year. Unfortunately, I just didn't feel as though that would be worth what he was going to be asking for, and he, rightfully so. I can't imagine many people being on board with a $40 million a year salary. I mean, the Dodgers are going to be phenomenal this year. They're trying to compete with the San Diego Padres, who were also making a lot of moves and being a team that is really pushing for this go. Because we all know the Padres historically don't spend a lot of money. They're very similar to the Marlins. They're very similar to these low budget teams who make a push for about 2 years, 3 years, and then they fall back down and they start rebuilding. And that's just kind of the cycle of these teams. And they're making their push now. They've made that abundantly clear in this free agent market, and the Dodgers got to compete. The Dodgers are trying to be the first back-to-back champion, World Series champion since I don't even know. It's been a long, long time, because baseball is just a sport where anyone can win anything, and they're trying to compete with the Padres. I mean, it's going to be an insane NL West to watch. The Rockies obviously are going off. The Diamondbacks aren't going to be much of anything. But between the Padres and the Dodgers, it's insane. And they seem to be just trying to outdo the other. It's almost like if you win the NL West, you win the World Series at this point. But again, I think if you're a fan, and I know most of my audience is Red Sox fans, and if you're down here in New York and such, you're probably Mets or Yankees. But I think the teams that aren't going to be hung up on this $120 million contract for Trevor Bauer, who I think again only had one spectacular year. I think it's going to be a win for them. I think Trevor will help the Dodgers, and I think they'll be happy having him on the team. But I just don't think he'll warrant that kind of contract going forward, and I think eventually it will be a mistake to have done. So listen, as a Red Sox fan, I'm happy where we're at. I'm happy where we're moving. I know we're going to make probably some more moves here before the season starts, as will a few other teams. But I'm happy we didn't make this move. Guys, I hope you had a phenomenal Super Bowl Sunday. I'm recording this before the Super Bowl had started, so I don't know who's going to win. I hope Tom Brady shoves it up the Patriots' ass and shows him that he was the guy that made that system work. But regardless, it's going to be an unbelievable game. You got the Kansas City Chiefs, the young Patrick Mahomes, who's electric. Tom Brady, the guy fighting time. It's going to be fun. I can't believe he's even in the Super Bowl, honestly. So I appreciate you guys listening. I hope you had a wonderful Super Bowl Sunday. Enjoy your week, guys, and I'll see you Thursday. Thank you so much for listening to the Sorry We're Closed podcast. Go subscribe to our email chain over at thepatlight.com and follow us on all social media. Until next time, guys, I'll see you at the bar.
Sorry, we're closed.